Hello everyone, and welcome back to 4KB Shorts Let's Play of Kerbal Space Program with Kerbal Space Adventures. Off camera, I put up a satellite system around Minmus, which did not go 100%. Almost lost one of the satellites, and another one I accidentally rammed with our delivery ship and tore off one of the solar panels. However, they are still up and running, and we have a semi-decent coverage on top of Minmus for some probes, or some landers, that are non-Kerbal based, which is what we were kind of going for in the first place. Now, in preparedness and preparing for that, I created a little guy that's way up here, much higher than I meant him to be, way up here, this little guy right here, the KSA Tran. I don't know why I called it the Tran, it just seemed to fit. It seemed like something that you'd find off of Star Trek. Now, this little guy uses some new scientific parts that I got from the Panda, is it the Panda Jaeger, that's what it is. My brain was saying there. Panda Jaeger Scientific Parts Pack. It's small goo canisters and science bays. These are science bays. These right here are the same as, let's go ahead and find it right here on our list, are the same things as this right here and this right here, but in smaller rovers form. They're meant for rovers, but as you can see, I was able to cram them onto this ion-powered, yes, ion-powered spaceship, and hopefully we'll be able to land this little guy right on top of Minmus. I know, right? Sounds really exciting. So we have 4 of these each, which means we have 4 science bays, 4 goo canisters. We have a thermometer, a temperometer, whatever you want to call it, a gravioli detector, and this little guy is also from the science pack, and that little guy is called a, if I can find him here on the list as well, right here, the Dynamic Reflectiveness of Neutrons Spectrometer, or DRN Spectrometer. And it's the Dynamic Reflectiveness of Neutrons, I want to say neutrinos, but it's not, as neutrons. DRN Spectrometer is used to scan the subsurface material for the presence of hydrogen and hydroxide molecules. The boffins in the lab are hoping to reveal water that is close to the surface, but unable to be detected by satellites. The trick is to keep the that darn Jeb from using the DRN spectrometer as his personal dowsing rod. Well, if we send it up into space without Jeb on board, it shouldn't be a problem. On top of that, we also have 4 hard drives in order to collect whatever data we may get from this, because what I'm hoping for is I'm hoping we can land this little guy on Minmus and then bounce him around a little bit. Now, what's great about that is an ion-powered ship on Minmus can actually do a lot. It has a thrust rate ratio of about 1.6, at least this one does. So it's not super duper powerful, but it's powerful enough for our means. So we're going to be floating around with him on Minmus, and hopefully that will work. So we have our antenna, we have our stuff. Now all we have to do is get a little, launch platform underneath it. From there we're going to take it up into space and out to Minmus. Not really much to go on with that. I'm pretty sure we'll just go ahead and show the launch up to the first stage as usual, and then our expedition out to Minmus, where we will then land and discover all sorts of fun scientific data. Now, as you can see, there are no parachutes or heat shields on this little guy. He's not meant to return directly to Kerbin, but if he can, we will bring him into Kerbin orbit, and then there's a chance we can pick the data off of him so that we don't have to transmit it back and lose that. We will lose the ship landed on Minmus bonus, but I'm okay with that, with a probe like this, because this is going to bring back so much data it's not going to matter for that little itty-bitty bit. And of course we can always send a lander if we need to. But, let me go ahead and get a launch pad under this, or a launcher under this. We'll get it out to the launch pad, and we'll get it up into the sky. We'll see how it fares, so I'll see you guys out there. Alright everyone, here we are out on the launch pad, and we have the Tran 1. And the reason why we call it the Tran 1 rather than the Tran is because, in fact, it has 12,000 Delta V, which means it can go pretty far. So we may be using this for more than just going to Minmus. Now, we do have just a standard 500 kilometer or 500 meter, 500 kilometer omnidirectional antenna on there. We are going to have to activate this antenna when we get up into the upper atmosphere, and if I forget to do that, we're going to have some problems. But that shouldn't be an issue. We are, of course, going to try to fly it up to the first stage, and then if everything goes fine, we will be moseying on to, okay, a little bit heavy. We will be moseying on to the upper atmosphere. So it looks like with this little teeny tiny thing on top, this does not have the kind of lifting power that I had hoped. And that most likely comes from the fact that it is a very heavy double-stage rocket with a very teeny tiny thing on top. I guess I should have gone with a single stage and that would have been better. one layer versus two, but that's okay. That's okay. We're gonna have the fuel to make up for the lack of thrust, and we will cope with the rest as we go up. This is just a pre-built launcher that we had on hand. I didn't really feel like building a full-on brand new launcher. Perhaps I will look into doing that on our next flight in order to make sure that we're not wasting so much time and fuel on such a tiny craft. Alright, and it's going to take us a little while to get to the first stage. We're going to start to tilt over now, though, in order to help out that push into the upper atmosphere. Very interesting how you can do this. It's you just do your gravity turn, as we like to call it, a little bit earlier than normal, rather than at 9,000 meters. You just slowly tilt over as you progress up, and it's helpful. It's not perfect, and it really depends on how you do it, but it does work. Okay, so let those slide off, and they seem to be gone. And since we know that this lifting stage works rather well, we're going to continue up. And I will see you guys in orbit unless something goes horribly wrong. In which case, I'll see you guys back on the launch pad, because there's not really much of a loss here. Alright everybody, here we are in orbit, and as you can see, we're supposed to do our burn now, but we're a little bit late, and the reason why is because we were behind Kerbin, and in order to save weight on the probe, I did not put any batteries on board, so we ran out of power very quickly just running this antennae. Now, I should have probably gone with a Communitron 32. I did not. I went with a Communitron, no, this is X16 solar panel. This little guy right here, it's really hard to click on. Is it 64? Oh, I'm sorry, 32, 16, that's right. I should have gone with a Communitron 16 at 3 million meters, but instead I went with a Communitron 32 at 10 million meters for safety purposes, and it uses up a lot of power. Now, our solar panels are enough to run it, but only when they're in direct sunlight. And the only battery power we have on board is for our probe body. The other downside is that we are running an ion engine, which is not very kind when it comes to needing power. What that means is we may not be able to do all the things we wanted to. However, the bonus part is if you look at our fuel gauge there for our big body here, we should have enough to basically float around Minmus and maybe land once or twice on this big engine bell if we want to try to go for that. Because that is an option. If for any reason that we don't want to try to go for that, or if for any reason something else goes wrong, we can most likely bring this back into orbit after doing some gravioli scans, at minimum some gravioli scans of the surrounding area of Minmus, and that will bring us at least enough science to have paid for the trip. So that was our final burn, our last burn towards Minmus, so that's where we're going to be heading now. It's going to take us a little bit of time to get there, so I will see you guys when we are in orbit and ready to land. So I'll see you guys there. Alright everyone, as you can see, we are landing on Minmus. Now, the reason why is because I made a very poor calculation regarding our ship design, and we are not able to do what I wanted to do initially, which was to get a bunch of data from orbit, bring it down, and stick it on these hard drives on the top of the probe, and then take those back. I was going to grab, a bunch of data. Well, as it turns out, transferring to the hard drives requires power. As I stated previously, I forgot batteries. We only have 7.62 maximum power to use for our entire probe, and that is not enough to transfer even the tiniest bit of data from the gravioli detector or any other piece of equipment to the probe. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring the probe down, and we're going to try a couple of times to land, bounce, and then grab science module and goo canister data, basically. And then I think what we're going to do is we're going to fill up the gravioli detector with what we can, maybe one or two things here and there. Or, excuse me, one, not two. Can't do two. Grab basically one gravioli detection, and then take it back to Kerbin orbit, where it will sit while we try to get the Tran Mark II up and running with a slightly different design, because as you can see, lots of fuel left in this. No need for the ion engine basically at all. And the fuel, basically the fuel and everything that we could use for the ion engine, we can replace with fuel and whatnot for just a regular little scrummy engine. a little puffer engine basically. And then on top of that, we can add a couple of high-end batteries that will allow us to transfer data into our hard drives, which will make things a lot easier. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and land. We're going to go ahead and do this for the first landing. If we have enough fuel, oh man, I think we've already landed here. The EVE1 debris, yeah, I think we landed right in these same flats. So we're not going to get much in the way of new data out of this either. So this whole mission was kind of botched a little bit, I think. That was my bad. I did not think ahead the way I should have, or test our probe properly. That was completely my fault. So what I think we're going to do is we're just going to go. I'm just going to go ahead and bebop around a little bit. Do that off camera once we land the first time. I'm going to do that off camera, and then I'm going to redesign this with a little bit more finesse, a little bit, taking what we've learned. And I'm going to bring it back here. Now I'm going to skip all the in-between for you guys. And I think what we'll do is we will just come back here when we're ready to actually collect data, and then head back with the ship, and then maybe even film the collection of said data, because that's going to be the first time I will ever have collected data onto a ship that was specifically designed not to return back to Kerbin, which would be very, very interesting for us. And just a gentle little bounce, and don't fall over. Don't fall over, please. Alright, now it should just stay here without falling over, I hope. The SAS unit will basically keep it standing straight up. So we have technically landed. So while we're here, we can go ahead and grab at least one. I don't even think we're standing straight up. We're not. We're leaning sideways. Yay for those SAS units, man. This is things that's holding itself up with nothing but the centrifugal force. The other issue that I'm having is every time I try to do a scan, I keep clicking on the engine. The only way to get a scan in is to go really super close or to hit the hotkey. So we have gravity scan from Minmus's lesser flats, as the sensor takes detailed readings of the local gravity of Minmus. That's worth 100 science if we take it home, which we'll keep. We don't have anything on 9. Oh, there we go. 9's kicking off. You sneak a taste of the surface sample? Nope, it definitely does not made of delicious desert products. Okay, so that's a hydrogen scan from Minmus's lesser flats. That is also worth 100, so that's 200 science right off the bat. There's no atmosphere on Minmus. Good to know. Temperature scan? We already have all the temperature scan we need, so that's no good. And I believe 6 was nothing. 6 is a non-key. So all of our hotkeys have been used. We can go ahead and open up one of our canisters here. Why not use the one here? Oh, actually, let's use the one that's in the dark because we get a little bit of lights on there. And it's not activate engine. That's not what I wanted. Yeah, I'm having some trouble with continuously activating that engine. Here we'll observe the materials bay, which opens up and all the little lights kick on. Look at that. It's so pretty how the little lights kick on. Yeah, we've already used the material bay here. Well, the material samples were processed. You began to turn your thoughts to how much Minmus looks like a mint dessert, and have discovered that you are now hungry. Well, 27.3 is nothing to mock, so we'll do that. We'll also observe our mystery goo. You observe the goo. 11.5 science. Not a lot. Alright, so a little bit of a botched experiment with our leaning tower of rocket. But we know it works. We know it can get here. I think we'll go for a slightly smaller antennae. We will also not use this engine. We'll use conventional engine with a tiny thruster because, it can work on Minmus. On top of that, we'll also add a couple of batteries so that we can transfer all our data into these wonderful hard drives, because otherwise what's the point? And if we can even lighten the load a little bit, save a little bit of weight, we might be able to add a few more hard drives or a few more batteries or whatever the case may be. So again, going to take off, float around, move possibly over up on a hill, or onto the flats, or maybe to the North Pole, and then from there we're going to head back to Kerbin. I'm going to dump this in orbit and just leave it for now. And then when we bring in the other ship with all of its wonderful data, we'll pick them both up. We'll just go and we'll rendezvous with them both, because whatever goes up will only be designed to rendezvous and then come back down. We won't be going very far, so we won't have to worry about that. So we'll do that. So I will see you guys on the other side when we are collecting data with the new and improved Tran V2. Alright everybody, here we are near the Tran 1. I already took the Tran 2 out, a complete redesign, and collected a ton of science from Minmus. Now, here's the rub. Not all the science we collected is viable, and what I mean by that is some of it we collected is already on the Tran 1. And on top of that, when you transfer science into those hard drives that we have, it tends to cause a bit of damage. It actually, the hard drives have a waste system basically. As you transfer science onto them, it will waste science, or will remove science. So what I did is I went out of my way and I designed this guy, the KSA Snaggle, currently being piloted by Ceiling Sniper and Admiral Spoon. And it's supposed to do something very wonderful. What it is supposed to do is it is supposed to allow us to snag onto the Tran 1 via this wonderful clamp here, which I should be able to arm, there you go, and control from here. And then just grab hold, I hope we'll be able to do so, grab hold of this teeny tiny probe and bring it down into onto Kerbin, because we have our heat shield and everything else. Now, two things. One, I don't know if this thing is heavy enough for us to grab. That's one thing. The second thing is since this is completely untried, I have no idea if it's going to survive the fall attached to this clamp. So because of those reasons, we are very much experimenting here. I wish it would stop fighting me. Very much experimenting here with the Tran 1, because it doesn't have as much science on it as the Tran 2, and it's not quite as expensive, I guess you can call it. I need to move forward. Move forward, KB. There you go. It's getting away from us. We need to move forward. There you go. So yeah, it's basically it's a better test bed, is what it is. It's a better test bed for this. So if this works, we will be able to do this with the Tran 2. If it doesn't work, we can just bring the ship back up, have all the science grabbed off of the ship and brought back down. We could probably do that with this, but I'm really in the mood to have some fun with this. And so if we can grab hold of it, we will. If for whatever reason we can't, we will just grab the science off of the ship and then head back down with the safety of Ceiling Sniper and Admiral Spoon being more important than the data on our spaceship here, which I'm having a hard time. Not sure why I'm having such a hard time. It's not the docking that's bothering me. It's actually I can't seem to get a good angle. Maybe it's because it's fatter than I'm used to. The ship is slightly fatter than I'm used to, so I'm like, been so used to using 1 meter pods. These 2.5 meter pods is doing me in. All right, we're gonna try to grab it by the engine so that more of it is covered by this, by the main body of the ship here. Okay, back it off. And this is not like docking at all. We're basically targeting the center of mass and hoping for the best. All right, and we want to turn. Which we can. Thank you. All right, up, right, down, and then forward as gently as possible to grab us. Yeah, we're not straight at all. We probably could be if we really wanted to be, but we're not. There you go, a little bit like that. Perfect. All right, forward. And are you gonna grab? Did he? Did grab? Are we all one ship now? Are we all one thing? I think it is. I think we are. Are we? Yes, we are. Hey, excellent, excellent. All right, cool. So yeah, we have attached ourselves to the Tran 1. Now again, I could get out. The hard drives are empty, but each one of these has some science in them. Each one of the goo canisters has some science in them. Now we could get out and grab the science just for safety purposes. Oh, see, now I'm debating. I don't even want. I don't even know. Probably should. If for no other reason, you know what? We're gonna grab the science. We're still gonna test whether or not it's a viable solution to bring this whole thing down. And I guess we'll have. Oh, I don't know who. Ippy Dippy, my spaceship be on a course for true past Neptune and Pluto's moon. The one I choose is you. Congratulations, Ceiling Sniper. You get to EVA, sir. Good. All right, so we're gonna have him EVA, and he's gonna go around and he's gonna grab some of that wonderful science. Now, I do apologize for my frame rate. For whatever reason, the last few missions I've been running, my frame rate has been really bad. I don't know why. Maybe too many mods. I finally crossed that mod threshold, as I have added a couple extra mods. Maybe it's just a bad pull. I don't know, but there's something causing this to lag really badly, even when I'm not recording. So we're back to having like massive amounts of no frame rates. Thank you, collect datas. Okay, now for whatever reason, I don't know, I did not realize this was a thing. As you can see, these do not tell me that they cannot be reused. Apparently they can be reused. They can be reused, which means I found that out on the Tran 2 when I was transferring data into the hard drives. It turns out these little guys can be reused, and because of that, we only need one of each. I don't know if that's considered cheaty or not. It is the way the mod. It is the way the mod was built. I did not edit that myself. It is in fact the way the mod was built. So, I'm not going to change it. Ooh, watch your head there, ceiling. Ceiling, bumping into things. Bumping into, perhaps, the ceiling? Oh, yes, alright, let's collect that. So yeah, we're just going to go ahead and collect all the data from our probe here. There you go. Perfect. Alright, I think we missed one of the science bays. This takes a long time. Collect. I think I got it. Did I get it? Yeah, it's just taking a long time to get in there. Okay, did we get this one? Or no, that one's empty. All right, so I got them. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa! Watch your head. Okay, now we have to find. Now this one's the hard one. I found this out the hard way. These little guys are very, very difficult to select, and we may have to zoom way in and stare at ceiling's booty there for a moment while we try to get our hands on this one. Because this science right here, as you can see, it keeps selecting the engine. In order to select the actual body of the ship, this is a lot easier when I had it as my center of mass. Yeah, we're not going to be able to select those. So those two, the gravioli detector and the DVN, the neutron detector, will have to remain on board. I'm not even going to bother with it. But yeah, we got some science out of that, which is nice. Again, we will be trying this with the Tran 2, if this little guy survives the entrance. Now, as a test bed, even if it does survive, that doesn't mean that the Tran 2 will. So it really depends. So we'll go ahead and grab you, get you on board. And you know what? Just because we're out here, I know it's not much, but we're going to go ahead. Hey, look at all that science. We're going to go ahead and we're going to let Admiral Spoon EVA as well. And just so he gets that, he needs that little EVA ribbon. Why not? We'll give him a chance to EVA, maybe inspect the ship. Why not? We'll do that. So actually, let's do that. Let's show you guys what we got here. This is basically very similar to our moon lander, except the top has been replaced with the grappling claw. We added some RCS and whatnot to it. We have some food, so that they have food, water, and oxygen for 10 days. Well, 11 days if you count the pod. And then, of course, we have our gigantic heat shield right here that will protect most of the parts and pieces that are above it. We added one additional part, which is this right here, this clamp. And the reason I added the clamp is because with the added weight of the probe, I wasn't sure a fuel tank would be a great idea to bring with us. So the clamp will be released so that the parachutes have an easier time of pulling all the weight down. Worst comes to worst, the whole thing may snap and collapse. But for the most part, we have all the science out of it, so it's not that big a deal, right? Right. And let's just go ahead and grab. And now that we've inspected the ship, we will bring it down now because our apoapsis is at 788,000 meters. And we are actually way up there. We will, well, we're nearing it. We have about 8 minutes. Since we are way up here, I will be burning down. So we're going to cut until we get into our burn-in to determine whether or not we survive the landing. So I'll see you guys down there. Alright everybody, here we are coming down on the dark side of Kerbin yet again. It was just easier to burn down on this side than it was to loop around and burn down on the other side. Maybe regretting that decision slightly because as you can see, we didn't bring any batteries. Again, I had planned to put batteries on the ship. I'd even made a place to put batteries on the ship. And then I thought, I won't be up there that long. It'll be fine. I keep forgetting you always come down on the dark side of Kerbin. No matter what I do, I end up always coming down on the dark side of Kerbin. So because of that, here we are on the dark side of Kerbin, draining power, trying to keep our ship straight. So I can't use our engines because even if I did, they would not have power anyway. And on top of that, our SAS unit is going to be draining that juice very quickly. So hopefully we come down fast, if for no other reason than so we can survive long enough to make it in. So I can turn off the SAS unit, but it's not super duper helpful. We're going to try to keep ourselves stable. Like so. And we are at 40 kilometers. So our biggest thing here at this point is to make sure that our probe body doesn't explode. The solar panels are out. I could bring them in. I suppose I should bring them in. Might as well. I had them out so that they would help add power to the ship, but coming to the dark side of Kerbin basically threw that right out the window. So we might as well just retract the panel so we have them on board, right? Nothing wrong with that. Now, we are going to have to change the ship because, or at least change the design of the Snaggle slightly to add batteries at least, because without those batteries, we're going to have a really big problem because the Tran 2 is in fact in a higher and more wobbly orbit than even the Tran 1 was. And if that's the case, it's going to take us a lot longer to get out there, and only a little teeny tiny bit of batteries is not going to cut it. Alright, well, I turned off our SAS unit to help. I am slowly adjusting this myself. Our extremely low frame rate is helpful in this case. I was going to go ahead and turn off Kerbal Engineer. I'll keep the resources open because it's there. It's always there. It's just hanging out. There's just a lot of resources right now. Actually, now that I turn that off, I don't know how high off the ground we are. Wait. Oh, okay, so we're at negative periapsis. Okay, so we have crossed the negative periapsis marker, so we are coming in regardless of anything else. Our ablative shielding is working. Our ship is working. Everything seems to be okay. The Tran 1 is hanging out just fine. Now again, what engine is that? That's got to be the trans engine. Okay, I'm assuming that's trans engine. Yeah, that ion engine worked really well. I was able to run it at about half power. Downside is it did us very little good with editing its orbit when it got around Kerbin. So being able to adjust it and make it a more flat orbit and then equalize the periapsis and apoapsis was nearly impossible. Which is why I built a ship large enough just to go get it. I will just go get it. Alright, so our ablative shielding is going down, but it's still fine. We are burning in. It would be very nice if we came out of this on the other side of Kerbin, but I believe we are so close to the dark side. We had just crossed into the dark side when we started coming down, so I'm pretty sure we're close enough to it not to be a thing. We're not going to be able to make it back. May hit land. That'd be nice if we hit land. Not sure why. Just seems important. Alright, we have 25 units of power left. I don't know if that's going to be enough to hold our SAS. We may land on top of the Tran. In all honesty, that would be not helpful at all. Again, we need to ditch this chunk of engine. I guess we could keep it if the parachutes hold. Ooh. That's going to be a funny one. I don't know if the parachutes are going to hold. Alright, well, you know, I'm not even doing any editing here. The ship is aerodynamically sound enough to bring itself down. I like that. That is a good test. Okay, so far so good. I know it's really dark. I do apologize. We can't turn on any of the lights. Even if, well, we have two. They point straight up to aim at whatever we're docking with. But we can't do any of the lights because as soon as I turn on the lights, we will lose our... we'll lose more power. And we want to keep as much of that power in check as possible. We're 15,000 meters, 600 meters per second. I don't like to deploy parachutes until we're at about 500 meters per second, just in case. That's just a personal thing for me. Now there's 500. I guess we can, well, let's deploy the chutes first. And then we'll see if we need to remove those chutes, please. Shoot. Oh, stage locked. Chutes, please. Thank you. I have to stage lock when I'm docking. There's a bug that occurs sometimes when you go into docking mode where if you don't stage lock, you can stage your ship while in docking mode by flipping between linear and turn because it uses a spacebar, and the game forgets which mode you're in, and you'll press spacebar and it'll say, oh, you want to stage, and part of your ship will start flying away. And it's very inconvenient when that happens. Okay, we're going to keep the bottom stage on because it seems to be weighing us down a lot. 100. We're near sea level. I'm thinking bye-bye. Yeah, we're gonna worry about that. SAS unit on, please. Because that's not gonna help at all. SAS unit is not gonna help us at all, so we're just gonna turn it off and hope for the best. Oopsie. So that was weighing us down. There goes the solar panels. Not sure why they broke off even though they were closed, but they did. Alright, now we're officially upside down. That's well, if we land slow enough, we shouldn't break the probe too much, but we're safe. At least we're safe. So yeah, all that weight was holding our tail end down. I just didn't want those parachutes to open and rip off. I guess if I really wanted to keep that end of the ship on, we would be able to do it with staged parachutes, like the higher up parachute. Two of them pop open way high up, and then the other two way low down, in order to make sure it just goes. Looks like we're at 800 meters. Where'd the ship hit the ground? Is there anything? Did anything survive that we can check our? Nope. Well, we're near the ocean, so I'm pretty sure we're about as close to sea level as. Well, I thought we were near the ocean. Not. Uh-oh, electrical charge depleted. Well, it's 3.8. That's not technically depleted. There's. Oh wait, I had this turned off. Yeah, this little guy had him turned off. So we have a teeny tiny bit of power left to do this with. And done. Okay, so we're gonna land on it and boink. Ah! Okay, well. Nothing blew up. That's an interesting effect. So there it is. There's the probe. So we're gonna head back and see how much science we got out of this, and check out the final frontier for Admiral Spoon and Ceiling Sniper, and then we may even go and do a real quick grab of the Tran 2. Not sure how much of that I'll keep on camera, but we'll see. We'll see. So I'll see you guys back at the Space Center. All right, everybody, check it out. We have 770.1 science earned on that mission from just what the Tran 1 brought back with the Snaggle, of course. And then for our final frontier moment, let's take a look here. We have undecorated. We have Admiral Spoon, dangerous EVA ribbon, because I actually had to have him EVA and turn off the antennae for the Tran 1 after we had burned down to a non-circularized orbit, so he got a dangerous EVA ribbon for that. G-Force 6 ribbon, Kerbin first docking ribbon. Hey, look at that! Awarded for being the first Kerbin docking in Kerbin orbit. Look at that, Admiral Spoon. I didn't even know that was a thing. First Kerbin docking in Kerbin orbit. That's excellent. Excellent right there. Kerbin orbital EVA ribbon and landing on Kerbin ribbon. You get first Kerbin to dock. I'm pretty sure Ceiling Sniper got the same thing. First Kerbin docking ribbon, awarded for being the first Kerbal docking in Kerbin orbit. So, and then we have G46 and orbital EVA and landing on Kerbin ribbon. So that's awesome. You guys got that first Kerbal ever to do that thing in space ribbon. That is epic right there. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go off camera. We're going to do a little bit of redesign on the Snaggle. We're going to add some batteries, things like that. And then I'm going to go up and grab the Tran 2 and try to bring that one down. And then I am going to do, I think I'll do most of that off camera. I may do the docking, and I might do the landing. I will record the landing, and I suppose I'll determine whether or not I want to add it later. So, well, I'll either see you guys in orbit where we're about to dock with the Tran 2, or I'll see you guys right back here at this screen, and we can see how much science we got on our second mission to Minmus with the probes. So I'll see you guys there. Alright everyone, here we are about ready to, well, for lack of a better term, dock with the Tran 2. And as you can see, it's a slightly different design, a little bit bigger. It's got a gold top on top. It has a standard engine using just liquid fuel and oxidizer. It was not as efficient as the other ship, as the Tran 1. However, it worked a little bit better in the long run. It also got us a lot more science. Oops. Boop, 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 boop. Now, one of the other reasons why I wanted to grab the entire ship and bring it in is because the way these hard drives work is a little bit different than the way a capsule works. When a hard drive gets filled with data, it doesn't care where that data has come from. So unlike unlike a capsule where if you try to put duplicate data in, it will yell at you and say, you can't put duplicate data in this ship. Please? Hey, can't get much better than that. It's almost dead center perfect. Look at that. Isn't that wonderful? That is. So yeah, with the hard drives, which are now located between the Science Juniors here, they don't care where the data comes from. So you can have data from the same spot over and over and over again put inside the hard drive as long as you have room in the hard drive. And that's a little bit on the cheaty side, but I'm not sure if that was purposefully done or not. I found that out when I accidentally had 2 or 3 of the same pieces of data in one hard drive. So since you can go back and get the data that you missed the last time with a pod, I guess that's what the hard drives are supposed to do, is to allow you to grab the data 3 or 4 times. The thing is that the data becomes corrupted. So if we take a look at one of these, it isn't 97% full. 2 of these are empty because we didn't get enough data. Okay, this one's 49. So if we take a look at our data, if we look here, even if we got something really nice, like this is a temperature scan from Minmus's poles. Now we would have 100% of that normally if this were just a temperature scan. But if you look, we only get 28 science. There's a little bit missing. The reason why is because the inoperable after transmitting breaks the hard drive. Basically what it is it's much like transmitting in the fact that when you transmit it or when you put it in the hard drive, there's a little bit of data corruption. So you lose a little bit of the science. It looks like we lost about almost 50% of it. Wow, we lost about 50% of the science on a lot of this. That's bad. So yeah, you lose a little bit. There's a little bit of data corruption. Because of that, you lose a little bit of the science. So you do still have to go back. It's not 100% perfect. So I don't mind being able to dump multiple pieces of data. I did not do that this time. I did clear out any duplicates just in case, but you do have that option to do that as well. So that's why I'm not going to collect the data from here, is just in case we have a bunch of duplicates. We are going to be missing out on a lot of the science that we had initially, but it won't be that bad. It won't be that bad. We will still get a ton of science, especially on top of the Tran 1 701 units of science, so that's super special. So another reason why you still want to bring Kerbals instead of sending probes, because even with things like hard drives and reusable science bays, you're still going to come back with not the maximum amount of science that's available. But now we have to get back down onto the ground. I think we're going to go ahead and skip the burn-in. I will do that off camera because I'm pretty sure that Carl and Cobra, our two pilots up here right now, will be perfectly fine bringing this down. If anything goes wrong, you guys, of course, will be the first to know, and we'll hold services for the gentleman if that becomes a thing. Although Cobra, I think, is more excited for the services than he is for the flight. So, I will see you guys on the ground when we check how much science we got out of this. I'll see you there. Alright everyone, here we are back at the Space Center with all the wonderful, wonderful science that came out of the Tran 2, and as you can see we have 1,751.1 science. That is a jump of 1,000 and I believe 50 science from the previous grab, which is just epic. That was wonderful. That was a great little probe that we just did there. I'm really, really proud of that. Look at all this science. Look at all this science all from one little probe. Man, you know what? We got to do more probe science at some point. I don't know where. Maybe we go to the moon. Maybe we'll go to the moon and we'll drop off a rover and be like around with a rover. Not sure how we get the science back. The only way I can think of is like to pull the hard drives off and like stick them on another ship or something. I don't know. We'd have to figure out something. But that's a lot of science. What's really interesting about this is this isn't even the entire science, because remember we lost about 50% of each of the pieces of science gathered because of the hard drive failure. So that was only half as much as we could have gotten. We could have gotten like almost 3,000 off of Minmus by itself. But that's okay. That's okay. It was a fun little probe mission. It was great. Let's go ahead and take a look at our science bay area and find out what we can afford with 2,567 science. That's right. That is a whole lot of science. We got some scientific gear here as well as another hard drive. Oh, yes. They have less data corruption, but it has a higher power usage. It also requires a bigger probe body in order for it not to look stupid. We have some probe bodies here, some batteries, some antennae. Antennae would be nice, especially these long-range dish, 20 million meters, 350 gajillion meters, very, very important. We have some antimatter grabbers. No, I'm not in the mood for antimatter. Thank you. We have some other bits and bobs around here. I'm kind of looking for something very, very particular. And when I find it, I'll be happy. Okay, we're going to research this for the engines and some other stuff that's in here. So we're going to grab that little guy. Looks like that's some Geomax Ultra 75 methane. Oh, so it's a methane engine. Okay, no, and the methane engine. Or octagonal strut. Yes, because it should. It did not. I was hoping it would unlock the next tier. It did not unlock the next tier. Why did you not unlock the next tier? You're going to make me sad cry. You're going to make me tear. Alright, well, I guess we'll grab this, which unlocks... Really? Ekjeb pod and computer core. I think we're gonna have to unlock some of this stuff back here. So we're gonna unlock some of this stuff for relatively cheap. I'm not a huge fan of it, but we need to unlock it for reasons. And it looks like we can unlock one or the other of these. I hope this unlocks something here that I really, 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 really want. If it doesn't, I'm gonna be very, 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 very sad, because this section here is what we're missing, and we can either unlock this and hope it unlocks something out here, or we can unlock this and hope it unlocks something here. I don't remember the entire tech tree. It's hard. I don't know. Okay, well, now we have 3 that I'm curious about. Well, we'll go for 2. Let's see, this is some of the shuttle bits and bobs, and this is flight stuff. This is actually the shuttle, bits of the shuttle and plane parts. I suppose if we wanted to do some Kerbin-based science, some plane parts would be functional. But plane science on Kerbin, it just doesn't get it, you know, it just doesn't cut it anymore. Well, with the new the NVR and the gravioli detector, flying around Kerbin might not be such a bad idea, but you can do the same thing from orbit without much loss, or you can do the same thing on the ground without much loss. So I'm not entirely sure I want to do that either. And if we grab this one, well, we're gonna need these anyway for long-range science, and there's an RTG in there. Best guess gives us what? More solar panels and heat dispensers. That's not what we wanted at all. Oh well. You know, it's a loss, but we'll cope. We'll cope. We got some more science. We got some more gear. We got some more stuff to build some more things, including I think we have enough now to build a Humble Bumble. But what's interesting about that is we probably won't. And the reason why is because the Humble is too small for the Science Junior to fit on it. So if we're going to build a probe body to maybe go to the moon, I don't know if I really want to drive around the moon, but if we build a probe to go to the moon that can drive around on the moon, may have to do that with the larger body in order to get it to work. Or we may just send more Kerbals, because there's a lot of science left on the moon to grab. And then maybe we'll try to figure out a way to get further out into space. Not that that's hard, it's just doing it. You know, doing it's the thing. But I'm fairly certain that this entire session has been huge, and whether it's been long or not, depending on how much I cut out versus how much I actually played, and whether or not it is, regardless of the length, we did a lot of stuff. We went to Minmus twice, well, once on cam, once off cam, but Minmus twice, and we grabbed 2 ships out of orbit and brought them down safely with tons of science on board, and we'll go ahead and we'll go and do that again. You never know. We'll figure something out. We will do something. I know it. I have it. I feel it in my heart place. We'll figure something out. But for now, I'd like to go ahead and thank you all very much for joining me, 4KB Short, on this Let's Play of Kerbal Space Program, Kerbal Space Adventure. And I will see you guys next video.